The thing worse than rebellion is the thing that causes rebellion. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Starcasting to you from the City of Angels. Hello everyone, I'm Karis. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. This is your astrology cosmic superpower for the week beginning Sunday, March 23rd through Saturday, March 29th, 2025. Let's journey together with astrology and explore how to connect with the stars, the planets, the energies for our new week ahead. The magnificent March sky starts off the week on Sunday, March 23rd, with Venus moving into inferior conjunction. This is when Venus goes in between the Earth and the Sun. The planet Venus is one step inward from the Earth in her orbit around the Sun. Venus's orbit is smaller than the Earth, so she has less distance to cover. Now, once every year and a half, Venus gains a lap on the Earth and then goes in between the Earth and the Sun. This is called inferior conjunction. Venus isn't on the other side of the Sun from our perspective, which is called superior conjunction. Venus is inside between the Earth and the Sun, which is inferior conjunction. Also on Sunday, March 23rd, as we see from the Earth, Saturn's angle of tilt toward the Earth places the rings around Saturn on an edge from our vantage point. Now this happens approximately every 13 to 15 years. So Saturn's rings are remarkably flat, and when they're turned precisely edge onto us, they seem to disappear. Such an incredible phenomenon to see, the rings of Saturn looking like they have disappeared. Also look west when true darkness falls each evening from the northern hemisphere. Look east before dawn begins to break in the southern hemisphere. You'll find a hazy pyramid of light, huge and milkier in appearance than the Milky Way. For the northern part of the globe, the zodiacal light is most visible in the evenings around and after the March equinox. You need a dark sky to see this airy, mysterious, magical light. March 29th, we have the new moon in partial solar eclipse. New moons, they rise and they set with the sun. Observers in northeastern North America, Greenland, Iceland, and the North Atlantic Ocean, most of Europe, and northwestern Russia can see a deep partial solar eclipse. Nights around the new moon are perfect for stargazing. The 7 original planets first used in astrology, or the OGs as I call them, that you can see without aid of telescope or binoculars, just like the first original astrologers did, they are starting off the week as such. We have the sun exalted in cardinal fire Aries. The moon is in her detriment in cardinal earth Capricorn. Mercury is retrograde in Aries. Venus is in her detriment, retrograde in Aries. Mars is still in its fall placement of Cancer. Jupiter is in its detriment of Gemini, ruled by Mercury, and Saturn is in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Hi everyone, Karis here. Did you get a chance, I hope, to see the astronauts returning back to Earth? It was so beautiful when they were over that beautiful blue water of Florida and the parachutes opened up and they landed safely. And then the dolphins going up to the spacecraft and circling around and dancing and playing in the water. Magic. That's all I can say. That was just not only just so wonderful to see, but the connection between nature, the dolphins, Earth, space. All I can say is I was just over the moon with that magical precious moment. Everybody, it seems as though, has been going through a lot lately all over the globe. And to just see something like that and experience it, it was just heaven. The cosmos never disappoints. I hope you got to see it. It was wonderful. This Sunday, the Sun's Day, March 23rd, we've got a couple of rabble-rousers in our midst. We've got the Sun now exalted in Aries, making a sextile aspect of opportunity to Pluto in fixed air Aquarius. Aries and Aquarius, they are rebels. They enjoy stirring the pot. And there are times when rebelling and stirring the pot is greatly needed. What's happening here is that we are in fourth quarter to new moon cycle, the time when the moon is decreasing in light. We are moving towards the new moon. The light is dimming, and with the light dimming, the darkness being in that inner reflective time of the month, when the energy starts to slow down, when we reflect and go within and think about what we would like to begin at the time of the new moon with this eclipse coming up. The moon is in her detriment today on March 23rd, cardinal Earth Capricorn, which is the furthest away from her home sign of the moon at home in Cancer. Now, with the moon in Capricorn making an opposition to Mars in her fall in Cancer, a square to Chiron in Aries, a sextile to Saturn in Pisces, an Earth trine flow to Uranus in Taurus, these elements, earth and water, they are the healing elements ideally in astrology. So wanting to heal something within you, as we start off the week, the cosmos is highlighting for us that what needs to be healed, what perhaps you are willing to rebel again. Sun in Aries, sextile Pluto in Aquarius, is where you feel lost and ungrounded from putting everyone else's needs before your own. Feeling responsible with the moon in Capricorn, that you are responsible for the behavior, the emotion of others, and how the moon in Capricorn can be so tough on yourself in the sense of the moon in Capricorn expressing, when I finally accomplish enough, when I finally do enough, achieve enough, then I will be worthy of having my emotional needs met. This is the moon in Capricorn. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, goes back to the relationship with the parents, the moon and the father, the moon being the mother, Saturn being the father. The moon in Capricorn takes a look at issues of appropriate boundaries, meaning what is truly yours, and protecting your boundaries. And boundaries work both ways, respecting your boundaries and respecting the boundaries of others, and others respecting the boundaries of you, what your personal boundaries are. Saturn walls us in. It's that limitation, that boundary that says, go no further. I'm not comfortable and feeling good. My moon is not happy when certain boundaries are crossed. Huge issue here to heal with the moon in Capricorn. So as we start off the week and journey towards the dark side of the moon, we have two independent signs of the zodiac. Cardinal fire Aries, the newborn baby, the trailblazer that hasn't learned to fear yet. Along with Aquarius, freedom, independence, freedom of mind. These two rebels are shining a light during this dark portion of the moon, which is highlighting for us as food for thought. Where in your life would you love to take a stand of rebellion? Now, for each individual, this is a deeply personal and unique thing. An act of rebellion for you might seem like no big deal to somebody else, such a small thing, but for you, it's an act of rebellion. For instance, I once had a young client, 21 years old, and in the astrology reading, it was suggested that she take a dance class. And she said to me, I can't take a dance class because I won't look at myself in the mirror. My mother always told me that I was fat. Now, from my perspective, all I'm seeing is this beautiful young lady, 21 years old, in the height of her youth and beauty, saying to me, the astrologer, I can't look at myself in the mirror. Now, for someone else, that might seem like no big deal. But for her to look in the mirror and see herself, for her to do that in her world is an act of rebellion. Or when I've done astrology charts for just fabulous, gorgeous young men that are so terrified to tell their parents, especially their father, that they are gay. For them in their world, that is a tremendous act of rebellion. All I'm seeing is a young person that I would be more than proud to call my son. But for them to tell the truth about who and what they are, that is an act of huge rebellion in their world. Or the holidays, this comes up a lot, where you feel required to do certain things and be with certain people for the different holidays that we celebrate. And in that world, it's a huge act of rebellion to say, no, we're going to do something differently this year. Sometimes when women say to me, I don't really want to have children, truth be told. In their world, that can be a tremendous act of rebellion. I've also had young ladies come in for readings, and they're crying in my room because what they truly want is to have a beautiful home and family. That's their dream. That's what they really want in their heart. And their parents say, no, you've got to go to college and accomplish certain things. This is the moon in Capricorn talking now. But you've got to accomplish certain things because being a mom and a homemaker and wanting a beautiful traditional family, it's just not enough. In that young lady's world, that is an act of rebellion. To go against what the parents are saying. When truth be told, and this has happened often, by the way, in astrology readings, where the young person, they want to get married and have a beautiful family. I'm thinking, what could be more beautiful than that? But in their world, that is an act of rebellion. So whatever and however your act of rebellion may be, the sun exalted in Aries with Pluto in Aquarius, this blending of fire and air, which is masculine energy. It's taking action. It's not only shining a great light as the light of the moon is dimming and we approach this solar eclipse, but it's the time frame of the month where what is the action? And in this case, the rebellious action. What does that mean for you so that you can express the Aries Aquarius dynamic interplay of being you, your individual, your unique self, and embracing that with Aries enthusiasm and courage and excitement, and the Aquarius, which is the mindset, a new and different way of thinking and seeing things and going against the grain. It's different for everybody. That is the beauty of this sun sextile Pluto in Aquarius during this waning time of the month, the waning moon time of the month. The moon in Capricorn is not only lost and far away from home. The moon in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, can be quite a lonely place to be when your true authentic self is walled off within the boundaries, within a fortress where you may have accomplished so much and have everything that money can buy, but you're lonely because you're not connected to that rebellious, stirring the pot part of you that needs to do that at certain times in life. How would you respond if you were asked the question, or if you ask yourself the question, what does an act of rebellion mean for you? I have a client named Lisa. She's a Pisces. I just love her so much, and we have read together for years. Well, she lives in Texas. Her husband is a Scorpio. She has 2 sons, beautiful, beautiful young people that she has raised. Now, Texas can be quite conservative. I love Texas. It's my moon line. I've been there. I love everything about Texas, just about the people, all of it. But anyway, when she calls me for an astrology reading, Lisa is hiding out in her bathroom to call me. She's hiding because her husband builds pools in the Dallas area, and sometimes he unexpectedly shows up to go home for lunch. And that's when she has to jump off the phone, off the reading, because God forbid anyone finds out that she's not only getting an astrology reading, but from someone in Sodom and Gomorrah, Los Angeles, of all places. And I just get the biggest kick out of that, because for her, in her world, in her culture, that is an act of rebellion. To be calling an astrologer and feeling like you've got to hide out to make the call. And we've read for years. I've watched her kids grow up. She's just a fabulous mom, wife, everything. I adore her. But in her world, that is an act of rebellion. Monday, March 24th, the Moon's Day, we now have the moon entering fixed air Aquarius. Now, the moon in Aquarius makes a sextile aspect of opportunity to Venus in Aries. The sun, exalted in Aries, makes a conjunction to Mercury in Aries. Then the moon in Aquarius makes a conjunction to Pluto in fixed air Aquarius, a sextile to Mercury in Aries, and a sextile to the sun in Aries. Again, here we have it. All of this illuminating light in the dark cycle of the moon, in the 2 signs that have to do with say yes to yourself. All of the opportunity is here. Even with Venus retrograde in Aries and Mercury still retrograde in Aries, these conjunctions and these elements, the blending of fire and air, the air feeds the fire and makes the fire, the passion, the desire burn even brighter. Say yes to what it is that you need to take a stand on. With Mercury in Aries conjunct the sun in Aries, that could be simply speaking up. That can also be because Mercury is retrograde, saying, I'm sorry, but I have changed my mind about something. You have the right to change your mind if that's what you need to do. With the moon in Aquarius making that sextile to Venus in her detriment in Aries, that is the connection to, are you really connected to how you feel as far as the kind of love relationship Venus that would be right to you? The moon conjunct Pluto in Aquarius can be the rebellion of getting out of the same old emotions where you've gone around and around the same emotion. We can get addicted to anger, to depression, to feeling like a victim. Addiction isn't always the obvious drugs and alcohol. Addiction has many different forms. The moon in Aquarius makes a sextile aspect of opportunity to Mercury retrograde in Aries. This can be a going back, a return, and rebelling, taking a rebellious stand as far as how are you going to speak to yourself in your own head, Mercury, and being connected to how that makes you feel, moon in Aquarius. The thoughts and the feelings connected to the thoughts. This is, do you tell yourself how beautiful and wonderful you are and how anything is possible? Or is it the same old script that you've been going around and around in your own head, your own thoughts? We know now that thoughts are things, and then how that makes you feel, the moon, after you do this to yourself or talk to yourself that way. Then we've got the moon in Aquarius making the sextile aspect of opportunity to the sun in Aries. So when the 2 luminaries, the 2 lights are saying, we've got an opportunity here, we've got a chance here to take some action, fire and air, and bring our mind and our emotions, our head and our heart, our masculine and our feminine, to bring that in harmony, in alignment, and watch and see for yourself what that can manifest in your life. Tuesday, March 25th, we've got the moon in Aquarius making an air trine flow to Jupiter in Gemini. Mercury in Aries makes a sextile aspect to Pluto in Aquarius. There it is again, the opportunity of communication and what you say to yourself and how you feel about doing something, or at least just trying something differently, and see where that brings you on your journey. Jupiter is the journey. It's going past the boundaries, the limitations that you falsely believe that you have. Wednesday, Mercury's day, we have the moon in Aquarius making a square aspect of sudden separations. The moon in Aquarius making a square to Uranus in Taurus, which says, I am never giving this up. This square between the moon in freedom-oriented, independent Aquarius with Uranus in this is mine, fixed earth Taurus. This is the sacrifice that you are willing to make to give up something that's going to cost you in order to be free. Nature is always balancing. There is no getting without giving something, without some kind of sacrifice. And so the moon in Aquarius would be, well, what I'm getting here is peace of mind, freedom of thought, feeling good, the moon. And I'm willing to sacrifice and separate from something that is solid, tangible, that you have believed has kept you safe. Now it's become a prison. And so the moon square Uranus in Taurus says, yep, I'm willing to make this sacrifice in order to be free and independent, to rebel. Then the moon enters mutable water Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, where these are all of the different emotions and the myriad of changes, because it's complicated here with the moon in Pisces. We don't just feel one thing. We don't just have one impulse, one emotion. There are many different emotions and compulsions that motivate us. Along with the moon having entered Pisces, we have Mars in its fall placement, Mars in Cancer, which rules over the stomach, the emotions, the feels, making a square aspect of action to Chiron in Aries. Now, the ruler of Aries is Mars. So this is the square action of saying, taking the action, preparing to take the action, that your whole sense of identity, who and what you are, your unique, authentic self, and how you want to shine that light boldly with Chiron in Aries. This is going very deep because the moon is the mother. It's the emotional imprints, meaning the sign of Cancer, the moon. These are the imprints, the brainwashing and socialization that goes right back to the beginning. The moon is the subconscious. So this is really going deep as we are approaching the dark balsamic portion of the moon. Mars in its fall in Cancer, squaring that Chiron, the wounded healer, in the sign of cardinal fire, Aries. Thursday, Jupiter's day, Venus retrogrades back into her exaltation placement of Venus exalted in Pisces. The return of Venus exalted in Pisces is back to the drawing board in the sense of just what and how do you define self-esteem and self-love. We are always in this process of growth and evolution and trying to do our best, trying to learn more. And with the Venus exalted in Pisces, this is the return to what you have done or not done in the name of self-worth and self-love. Because the relationship that we have with ourselves, Venus, that inner divine marriage that we chat about on the podcast, this all goes back to the beginning baseline of no matter what you've been through, no matter the trials and tribulations, because Pisces represents you've been through it all, you've done it all, we've been saints, we've been sinners, we've made all the mistakes. No matter what the trials and tribulations and experiences have been or may be, the return to love, the return to Venus exalted in Pisces is still, when all is said and done, what are the issues surrounding the baseline of the love and respect that you have for yourself first, and how that connects to all of the relationships that you have in life, not just the primary romantic one. What are your relationships in a work environment, in a family environment, with your friends, with the community around you, with the world and the cosmos around you? What is the bottom line of what that means for you, and how it connects to your sense of self-love, self-worth, and self-esteem? Venus in Pisces then makes a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, which means dream and love as big, as over the top as you possibly can and want to do. Then we have the moon still in Pisces, making a square aspect to its ruler Jupiter in Gemini, which is Jupiter's detrimental placement. Now, this is being connected to knowing when to speak and what to reveal, and knowing what not to reveal and when not to speak. If you feel like you've got to make excuses for others, that you have to reveal certain personal experiences and private things about yourself, and to not do that, to establish a boundary and say, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not really ready yet. I may never be ready. Then for that can be a great act of rebellion. Have you ever been around with someone that they just can't be still or be quiet? They have to keep the chatter scattered. Jupiter in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, they have to keep that chatter going at all times. That, for someone like that, it can be a stirring of the pot, an act of rebellion, to just say no within themselves. I'm just not going to talk about everything. And because Jupiter in Gemini, its detriment connects to gossip, to take the rebellious stand of, you know what, everyone else may be talking about someone behind their back and tearing them down, but I'm not gonna. That's gonna be my act of rebellion. And I just did this reading yesterday with this beautiful Virgo lady that goes into the corporate workforce and doesn't gossip and doesn't join that bandwagon of tearing people down behind their back. And she does pay the price for that, and her character and substance and intelligence is just exemplary. But she won't gossip, and that is an act of rebellion in her world. Friday, March 28th, Venus's day. The moon is still in Pisces, making a water trine flow to Mars in its fall of Cancer, a conjunction to Saturn in Pisces, sextile to Uranus in Taurus, a conjunction Moon-Venus conjunction in Pisces. How beautiful and sweet is that? The moon then makes a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces. So the healing waters of purification, cleansing, letting this just flow over you and through you. Tears are cleansing and purifying. So feel your feelings always. But if you just want to let all of this up and out of you and let the emotions flow, which can be in certain circumstances, that to show emotion and to express vulnerability and emotion, for certain people in certain situations, that can be a tremendous act of rebellion, that you're making the decision that you're going to feel and show the truth of where your heart is, what you really feel. Now, after that, we have the moon entering cardinal fire Aries, and the moon in Aries will make a conjunction to Mercury in Aries and then a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. So here is this interplay, this connection again between Aries and Aquarius, which is we're stirring the pot here. We're embracing our rebelliousness here. And this is a biggie because the moon is the mom. And so the moon in Aries aspecting Pluto in Aquarius. Well, to go against what your mom taught you and the expectations of how you were emotionally nurtured and supported or not. This is a huge one right before the solar eclipse that we have coming up tomorrow at 9 degrees Aries. For some people, not wanting to talk about private things is an act of rebellion. For other people, showing their emotions and expressing that is an act of rebellion for them. Saturday, March 29th, we have Mercury, the planet of communication, entering its fall and detrimental placement in mutable water Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. With Mercury and Pisces, get the facts, get the science, get the information. Be careful of someone over-promising you something. Be careful of overstating and over-promising someone else. Mercury in Pisces is having big eyes in the sense of taking on more that you can handle, and also being very mindful of not over-obsessing about a situation that is going on in your life. And be careful, obviously, with the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, of not making a statement or believing a statement that may not come to pass, that may not solidify. This is all the mercurial things when it's in Pisces that we need to be more mindful, more aware of. Someone makes a promise to you or something seems to be too good to be true. It probably is. Now, it's good to be mindful of that no matter where the Mercury placements are, but it's highlighted for us from the cosmos that is putting a giant spotlight, a highlight on be mindful of all of the Mercury-ruled things in life. Speaking up and asking questions. That also can be a great act of rebellion for some people. When you question authority, when you ask questions to get more information. For some people, that can be really stirring the pot, that they simply asked. It's like the old saying, children should be seen and not heard. The new moon eclipse at 9 degrees Aries is the new moon action that we take at the time and begin at the new moon. A solar eclipse lasts for about a year's process when something is eclipsed out of your life. And what is eclipsed out of your life are the fears, the lack of courage to stand up and be counted. To stand up for yourself, to face that part of yourself that is afraid, that just wants to keep the peace at all costs, no matter what. Like the opposite sign of Aries, like how Libra can be. Just keep the peace and don't make waves. This new moon in Aries is not about that. It's make some noise, make some waves. This solar eclipse is about how if you have never expressed righteous anger, something being done to you, or something that has been done to you, where it's a great act of rebellion for you to simply state and feel that you're mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore. Some people can't have a real block when it comes to expressing the Aries anger, that fire in your belly, that at the appropriate time and place protects you. So over this next year, with this eclipse, standing up for yourself, your personal act of rebellion, never to harm or hurt another person, of course, and how it is a part of your nature that there are appropriate times in life to feel and be connected to your fire, to your anger, because you're just not going to put up with it, take it anymore. Now, when we go into the stage of development, what's called the terrible twos, where everything with a child is no and temper tantrums and screaming and yelling and anger, what's being wired in the brain at that time is that the brain is being wired to express anger. And that is a necessary part of our humanity. If a boundary, if something is being done to you that shouldn't be done, your anger serves a purpose. Tragically and heartbreakingly, if you watch interviews of prisoners in prison, that have gone after children, they will always say, I went for the most docile child. I went after the child that I knew wouldn't fight back. So this very delicate but important stage of development where the brain is being wired for anger, yet at the same time, we can't allow punching and kicking other children, but if we punish the child too severely during the terrible twos, that creates a docile, disconnected child from their Aries anger and expression. It's a very important and not easy time during that stage of development where your anger is necessary, yet at the same time, if the child is shut down because of punishment in connection to their anger, well, obviously that is not a positive and appropriate thing either. So Aries, the child, which is connected to you having that courage, that Aryan courage, to be yourself, to rebel at the appropriate time and place, to know that being connected to your anger is part of our humanity and it's needed at time. There are times when we need to have that sense of I'm angry about this and I'm not putting up with it one more second. Think about this as far as what it does do to you when you keep putting up with and you don't rebel and you don't establish your own unique individuality and independence. This is the light. Aries and Aquarius, this is the light and the positivity that is shining in the darkness as we go from fourth quarter to new moon eclipse and being in touch with this. And this is a process. It's not just an overnight thing. Maybe it can be, but a solar eclipse is a process of about a year as far as what needs to be eclipsed so that the light in you can shine and stand up for yourself and have bravery and courage in whatever area of your life that means for you. I mentioned a few of these personal scenarios in my clients' lives, but I hear this every day, all day long, where people are so afraid to do the simplest act of standing up for themselves, which might sound so ridiculous and such a small thing to another person, like taking a dance class because you got to look at yourself in the mirror. That might seem so easy to somebody else, but for that individual, it is a great act of rebellion, and I applaud those people that face that fear and find that courage within themselves to do so with this solar eclipse at 9 degrees Aries and this light shining in the darkness this week. Thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous week. I will see you all in the stars.